nobody's running, ain't nobody's hiding, nobody's ducking. I mean, Crawford's going to be right there, ready to trade blows with Canelo Alvarez. Why did you use that word war? Why are you feeling that way?
If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford.
Crawford could see everything coming. He could see everything coming that Canelo threw at him. He was reading it so well. His guard was so tight as well when he was up at the ropes, when he was exiting, looking to move around.
They looked about the same size, but that was a brilliant performance. And what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
Stephen A. Smith reacted passionately to Canelo Alvarez's loss against Terence Crawford. He explained that Crawford had been chasing this fight for years, determined to solidify his legacy. According to Smith, Crawford delivered on the biggest stage, dethroning Canelo and seizing the spotlight. He stressed that this was not just another win, it was a defining moment in Crawford's career.
Division world champion out of Omaha, Nebraska. He's undefeated, 41-0 with 31 KOs. And he begged for this fight. He wanted Canelo bad because to him, it's all about legacy. I'm not speculating. I'm telling you what I know. And how would I know? It's because I interviewed him. Yesterday, we sat down. Here is my conversation with the one and only Terence Crawford challenging Saul Canelo Alvarez, moving up 2 weight divisions to do it.
Max Kellerman echoed that sentiment, calling Crawford's performance both historic and career-defining. Kellerman broke down Canelo's defeat, likening it to taking on the challenge of moving up multiple weight classes to face a dangerous opponent who forces you into a brutal dogfight for the first time in your career. He pointed out that truly confident fighters actively seek out such challenges, disregarding concerns about size, speed, or power. Crawford's fearlessness, Kellerman said, was what set him apart. For years, no fighter openly called out Bud. By embracing this challenge and winning, Crawford cemented his place among boxing's most respected.
Giving up or having to jump up 2 more weight classes and fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody. That night I fought John Reese, I didn't care who was over there. Whoever they brought out that locker room was gonna get it. You understand me? That's just what it was. And I think Bud kind of has that feeling. Now, Bud, you gotta remember, has been around for a long time. Nobody called him out. You understand me? All the time Floyd came at the boxing, Floyd never said, I want Bud Crawford.
No one ever said his name.
Hey, all I know is one thing, Israel Mazarmov, he didn't get it, he barely lost.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but nobody called his name.
Shakur Stevenson has always expressed admiration for Crawford, but after this emphatic victory, his praise carried even more weight. Stevenson said Crawford not only delivered on every promise he made before the fight, but also proved why he is so highly regarded. Shakur admitted that from the start of his own career, he has studied Crawford's style, mindset, and discipline. Witnessing his idol achieve such a historic feat reinforced for Stevenson that greatness is built on years of preparation and consistency. For him, Crawford represents not just a champion, but a mentor figure and a blueprint for what younger fighters aspire to become.
Cook Canelo. He said he was going to outbox him. He did exactly what I called years ago, and tonight he proved that he's the greatest boxer that ever lived.
No, in the interview that didn't work, you said you felt like going on a run watching that tonight. How much inspiration can you take from someone like Terence?
I take everything from my own. I've been a runner since I was a kid, and just watching that greatness.
Stephen A. Smith also reflected on Crawford's determination heading into the Canelo fight. While some fighters might have demanded that Canelo drop down to a more favorable weight class, Crawford insisted on facing him at 168 pounds, Canelo's division, on Canelo's terms. Smith reminded viewers that Alvarez is still one of boxing's most elite champions, with titles across multiple divisions. Crawford's willingness to challenge him at his natural weight showed his hunger for greatness and his commitment to earning it the hard way.
1-0, Molly, with 31 knockouts. He's taken on all comers. I asked him, you're moving up in weight. Why would you not try to get Canelo to come down from 168 to 160 to meet you halfway, since his last fight was at 154? Crawford said, I want what he has. I want to go take it. I don't want to make, I don't want to make concessions and alterations. I'm coming to take what he has. And you look at him, and no one believes that he can't pull it off. He can box, he can punch, he's smart, he's elite, and he wants Canelo. He begged Canelo for this fight.
Aid Oladipo highlighted how drastically public perception of Crawford changed after the fight. Beforehand, critics dismissed him as too small, too old, and overmatched against a powerhouse like Canelo. But after the victory, many of those same critics were quick to praise him. Oladipo stressed that Crawford deserved every bit of credit, as he didn't take a shortcut, he took a massive risk by moving up in weight and taking on one of boxing's most dominant champions. By winning decisively, Crawford proved that greatness is defined by skill, courage, and determination, not size or age.
Did it again a few hours ago against Canelo. And what makes it even special or more special for Crawford is that he did it jumping up, as we know, a couple of weight classes. He did it against one of an all-time or another fellow all-time great, and he did it against someone who was undisputed and still a pound-for-pound top 10 guy. That's what Crawford did, people. So, all those things people were saying in the lead up to this fight, Canelo's going to be too strong, Canelo's too experienced, Crawford's going to be 38, all that. You have to remember all of that when you give Crawford his flowers. Don't like, oh, well, Canelo looks old. No. I don't want to hear any of that. I've started to see a few people on Twitter start to kind of sort of find excuses already. No. Remember everything you said, because Crawford deserves all of that. All of that. Crawford was incredible. Honestly, in the pocket, he was at times showing Canelo, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to bully you. Oh, you think you're going to get me in the clinch because you're Mr. 168? No, look at the size of me. I'm jacked as well. I'm swole. And he was moving Canelo around. So by doing that, he got his respect. He didn't switch to orthodox once, stayed in the southpaw stance because he realized early, oh, Canelo don't like this. Canelo does not like this southpaw stance. Canelo's tripping over himself. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to switch it. No, I like this work. I'm going to stay here. On the ropes, it's like, okay, come in, because when you come in, I've got that as well, and I can hurt you as well. Spinning off the ropes. His jab was fantastic. They put up the jab numbers. He was out jabbing Canelo, like, it was almost like 10-1, maybe even 20-1. It was fantastic, and when he needed to land those power shots, he was landing those power shots. It was an incredible performance.
Analysts from the Wade concept shut down the idea that Canelo's loss was simply the result of decline. They reminded viewers that Crawford is actually older than Canelo, which invalidates any age-related excuses. Additionally, Canelo had clear advantages in weight, power, and familiarity with the division. Despite all that, he was thoroughly outclassed. The analysts emphasized that this was not a fading champion losing, it was Crawford elevating himself to an entirely new level.
More tight, more fundamentally sound. While Canelo, even when he was able to get to range, which wasn't a lot, it wasn't often, he was having a hard time landing clean because everything was super wide and out here and to the body out there. And Crawford would either circle out to that same side, to Canelo's lead hand side, he would circle away because Canelo would step straight to Crawford and chase him and not necessarily cut him off. And even when he threw that hook, I was looking for the hook from Canelo, right hand as he stepped through, right? Corral with the lead hand, bang the right hand because you're fighting a southpaw. So yeah, your jab may not be as effective in landing and managing distance and all those things, even though for Terence it kind of was. For Canelo, I was expecting a lot more of that right hand down the middle and over the top, and then jabbing his way, feint jab right hand, and then that lead hook that I thought he would be able to corral Crawford, because Crawford did want to move away from Canelo. He did. He wanted to move away from that power hand. Smart to do. Canelo never took that extra step to step outside of Crawford's lead foot. Again, that orthodox southpaw matchup, it's always going to be a battle of that lead foot. He never took that next step to get outside of that lead foot and then step through Crawford, step to his left where Crawford was going and land his right hand. He just felt like he was falling off to his right with his right hand, and once he fell off to his right after he threw the right hand, there was no follow-ups because he was off balance and Crawford was out the gate and circling back to reset the action. This was a masterful display from Terence Crawford. And again, I looked at this fight, and I don't want to do the thing where I said, oh, Canelo's washed, He's over the top. He's old. Terence Crawford's older than Canelo. Is he as weathered as far as fights are concerned? No. But you can only do one thing when talking about this fight, and that is give credit to Terence Crawford. If you want to say Canelo looked old, that's fine. That's on you. I'm not.
Former world champion Carl Froch analyzed Crawford's mid-fight adjustments. He explained that by the 6th and 7th rounds, Crawford recognized the need to take control. His jab became the key weapon, disrupting Canelo's rhythm and forcing him onto the back foot. Froch praised Crawford's intelligence and timing, noting that he knew exactly when to shift gears and seize momentum.
Punches on the back foot, sort of dictating the pace. And then after about round 6 or 7, Canelo Alvarez knew, 1 second. I need a little freshener. Canelo knew he had to step on the gas. He knew he had to put the fight on its front foot and take it to Terence Crawford and start to try and catch him and bang him on. And when he headbutted Crawford, I thought that could be the start of it. A little bit of a nut, get that down. Yeah, I don't know if there was a cut, but the referee stopped and had a look, and I thought now Canelo's going to step on the gas. And he did that. He stepped on the gas, he started getting in close, and he started landing a few more shots than he was in the previous rounds, but it wasn't enough. Terence Crawford was able to catch and counter. He was landing a sneaky uppercut from the southpaw stance. He was dominating behind his jab, and then when Canelo stuck it on him, he was dominating up close in the pocket. He was beating him at his own game. Canelo Alvarez must have been fuming in there. He must have thought to himself, what can I do? He couldn't do anything. He needed to pick up the pace, put the pressure on, and sustain the attacks. And I don't want to take anything away from Terence Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez couldn't do that. He couldn't do it for long enough. Crawford looked like he could have done 20 rounds in there tonight at that pace, the way he was dictating and controlling. And Canelo Alvarez was getting marked up, he was breathing heavy, he was getting tired, he was reaching with shots, and he was getting torn apart. It was an absolute masterclass by Terence Crawford. Canelo tried, Canelo came and he had a go, but to be honest, I don't want to rain on the parade of Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez, for me, is well past his best now. He's seen better days. He hasn't got the pace, he hasn't got the fitness to sustain the attack. Afterwards in the interview, he said, I felt great, it's great, I feel good. And don't forget, Crawford's a couple of years older. So I think it's the miles on the clock. Canelo Alvarez had like 67 fights. I know Crawford's had a fair few fights, but he's about 20 fights behind him. So the miles on the clock have caught up with Canelo Alvarez. He's feeling the pace, he's feeling...
Another boxing analyst described Crawford's victory as a masterclass in ring IQ and preparation. He noted how Crawford seemed to anticipate every punch before it was thrown, countering with surgical precision. Instead of relying on raw strength, Crawford combined defensive mastery with sharp offense, keeping Canelo off balance throughout the fight. Many fighters freeze under Canelo's pressure. Crawford dismantled him with calm precision. This, the analyst stressed, was no lucky upset but the product of years of experience, study, and planning. It solidified Crawford's reputation as one of boxing's smartest tacticians.
Took to try and cut this off, and when he did get his foot to the outside, that was an option. But over time, Crawford, as he always does, as the genius boxer that he is and is able to do, starts to find those counter punches. And there was 2 counters in particular that I noted during the fight that I felt were absolutely key for Crawford. The first was the counter off that left hook to the body. Now, Canelo did land these sometimes. That left hook he throws, the lead left hook, is quite unpredictable, but he started to land it quite effectively to the body from time to time. But what Crawford was doing was he was catching it with his elbow, and then he'd throw the straight left hand back at Canelo as a counter shot. He'd throw multiple shots, and what I really loved about his counter work was he'd never throw more than singles or 2s or 3s. He never got carried away, he never did too much with Canelo. Don't get me wrong though, Canelo was still defensively very astute in this fight, but he simply didn't have the foot speed to get to Crawford. He couldn't do it, and he didn't want to use his own jab because I believe Crawford's lead hand is so effective that southpaw stance really meant he could dominate the fight with his own lead hand. Canelo's not a massive jabber himself, but now that he was fighting someone closer to his size, I thought he might try and implement a jab, but he didn't because Crawford's counters were just too fast and too good. There was a couple of moments in this fight, and I said in my prediction I thought that you'd see Crawford in moments looking absolutely electric and just outclassing Canelo, looking too fast and lighting him up, and we saw that. I'll never forget the beginning of round 9 where he actually stood in the pocket with Canelo and he just rolled with the shots and he was throwing counters. It was absolutely brilliant. But the second counter that he used that was really effective was he'd allow Canelo to throw that single right hand, that straight right hand, that backhand for Canelo, make him miss and come back with his own straight left hand over the top. I also thought that Crawford stabbing to the body was very good. He'd throw straight shots to the body, and that was something I predicted from the Lara fight that he would be able to do. That was also where I got the idea with the exits that I felt would be useful. And the reason we knew they'd be useful and important was because of Saunders just not really dealing.
Dan Rafael provided insight into how the fight was perceived beforehand. He reminded fans that many experts laughed at the notion of Crawford beating Canelo. But Crawford never saw it as impossible. He viewed Canelo as his equal, not a bigger, scarier opponent. That self-belief, Rafael argued, was the key to victory. By refusing to let doubt creep in, Crawford positioned himself to shock the world and rewrite what people thought was possible.
Rounds where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. But he showed his greatness.
You spoke about looking to back up Canelo in the fight, as you mentioned there, before it took place. How much of a surprise was it, though, just to see how comfortable he felt doing so?
I think it took him a little while to figure out that, you know what, he doesn't hit as hard as some people were saying, and that I can get in and out, and I'm going to be able to stalk him and walk him down a little bit. And he had Canelo extremely frustrated. And so I guess I was a little surprised he was able to do it, especially in those last couple of rounds. But he definitely was the guy that was going forward and backing. I mean, I've been watching Canelo for his entire career as a known fighter. This is my 24th Canelo Alvarez fight in person. I can't say that against anybody, including big punchers like Triple G and Kovalev and people like that, that saw him get forced back. That's not normal for a fight with Canelo Alvarez.
And given your time covering Canelo Alvarez and those defeats that he's had in his career, but Bivol tonight, amongst other kind of contentious decisions, how much is this one going to hurt? Because there's always been those question marks for the last few years. Is he on the decline? Now there's going to be more question marks. Is this the end of the road for Canelo, certainly at the elite level?
I mean, listen, and this is not a disrespect to Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good...
Crawford's longtime trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, closed with an emotional statement. He declared that he had always known Crawford was the greatest of all time. This fight simply proved it to the rest of the world. Bomac said that while Crawford deserves to rest after such a grueling challenge, retirement isn't on the table yet. For him, the most important thing is that the world now recognizes the greatness he has witnessed in the gym for years.
Bomac, you've been training Crawford for years. Do you think, okay, is he the greatest of all time? Because now people are putting him in the conversation of greatest of all time.
You know that.
Do you think so?
You know I know.
Okay, what's next for him? You've been training for years. What's next for him? The fans want to know. What's next for him?
Break. Take a break.
Is he retired, or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
How are you celebrating? Listen, congratulations to you. Listen, congratulations to you. How are you celebrating?
Just go have dinner with my wife, man.
Okay, well, are you trainer of the year?
I'll let the critics worry about that.
Last question. Is Terence Crawford retired, or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more.